And this morning we're talking about the Aging and Disability Resource Connection. We call it ADRC for short, and the Gatekeeper program.
Okay, just a minute. I think Christy might be the presenter, and she might have to give us the presenter. So here we go. Okay, here we go. There you go. Go
ahead. The ADRC is a one-stop location for sources of information and referrals for persons with disabilities of any age or for older adults. Our lines are manned by trained and certified information and referral specialists. They receive their certification from the National Alliance of Information and Referral Systems, which means they are trained to ask the right questions and help determine the needs of individuals who may call in. And when Gatekeeper referrals are made, they are made in through the ADRC lines. So this morning we're talking about Aging and Disability Resource Connection. Just to get people familiar with what ADRC is and what it does, and also to discuss the Gatekeeper program, which is a part of ADRC that helps us broaden our ability to reach some of the most vulnerable and isolated individuals in our communities. So I work for social services in the capacity of outreach and do the Gatekeeper trainings. And again, my name is Vicki Flincham. And just to let everyone know, we're not going to be opening the phone lines this morning. We are going to be recording this and putting it on the Clackamas County website later, and it's easier for us to keep the audio focused and more clear by not having the phone lines open. But you can type questions in if you would like us to answer something specifically. Our ADRC is a trusted place for people to receive information, and our questions and our information is person-centered. We offer services to every person, regardless of their income, regardless of whether or not they have any insurance, and our services are free of charge and completely confidential. We try to provide a welcoming, accessible place for people to call into and provide individualized services to people for them to live more independently and safely in an environment that is of their choosing. We're helping people to make informed and cost-effective decisions about everything from in-home services to long-term care. And we also assist and support the healthcare community and other social services agencies in our communities that may be servicing clients who have some specific needs. Who are gatekeepers? Each and every one of us are gatekeepers. We are all people in our community that can keep our eyes and our ears open to individuals who might be exhibiting some signs that they are in need of some support. What is the Gatekeeper program? It was started as an outreach effort. We train everyone to identify and refer issues to social services, the ADRC lines, to help us reach out to people who might be in need of support. Why does the program exist? The program was created back in 1978 as a way for us to reach some of the most challenging individuals to tell about services in our community. These individuals, it can be very difficult for us to reach out to them and get them the information that they need. Many individuals do not necessarily voluntarily seek assistance, and there are a variety of reasons for that. They may seek assistance, may not wish to seek assistance because there's just a general negative association with the term social services. Many of our older adults in our population are very proud, and they're very proud of the fact that they can do things on their own, and they don't necessarily want to ask for assistance. They're reluctant to do so. They may feel that they could lose control of their lives because someone may come into their home and decide that they're not capable of living on their own. There may be some shame associated with the fact that they're in need of some support, or they could have some suspicions and fear about what might happen to them and what might be available to them. There could be financial reasons that people are having difficulties, mental health issues, or just the fact that they plain old don't have information about services that might be available. And I forgot to mention as we got started this morning, if you would like to follow along with the PowerPoint, I do have it available in there to download, and you can follow along, and then there's also a separate handout. How does the program work? A gatekeeper makes a referral to a local ADRC. At least in Clackamas County, our referrals come in on phone lines, or you can actually email Clackamas County at ADRC Clackamas to make a referral. Counties do their services individually. You can actually call the state number and put in a zip code, and it will direct you directly to the ADRC in the county where the individual that you're calling about resides. Our staff responds to the phone lines here in Clackamas from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday, and there's somebody there the entire time, even during the lunch hours. And if for some reason someone does not get us directly, our staff is responsible and tasked with the responsibility of returning those phone calls within a 24-hour period. We reach out and speak with the individual or a person who may be supporting that individual to assess what their needs are and help them determine what it is that they are looking for, and then assist with coordinating any support or services that they may need. To give you an idea of some of the services that, some of the services that may be available, there are things like senior companions, free transportation, services to help people with Medicare and navigate those, Meals on Wheels, and different programs at some of our community partners like our senior centers. Give you an idea of what we can actually do. This little diagram actually shows, hang on, I think I have a question here. And yes, there are. We just got a question asking, are there services for people who are immigrants and do not have a Social Security number? And yes, there are. We don't ask them whether or not they have a Social Security number. And we, at least in Clackamas County, do have a bilingual staff person also who speaks Spanish. And we have the capabilities of using the language line to interpret for any other languages that people might call in and are using. So this graph or layout that I'm showing on this page is just an overview of a case that occurred several years ago here in Clackamas County, where a local bank manager had a client that she called in that she was concerned about. The client had been a customer of her bank for approximately 25 years. And she came in one particular day in a period of 5 or so hours, and she came in multiple times, 3 or 4 times, and she seemed very confused, was asking the same questions, and was not even sure that she had a bank account there. And this was very unusual behavior for her, so the branch manager called our local ADRC line and spoke with one of our INR specialists. The INR specialist immediately called the lady back and talked with her on the phone and noted that she was definitely having some cognitive difficulties understanding what was going on and remembering the questions that were being asked. And the INR specialist suggested that we have an options counselor come out and speak with her, and the lady agreed, and we set up an appointment for the following day. That next day, our options counselor went out and spoke with the elderly lady and discovered that she was having some difficulties. She appeared like she had lost some weight, and she was a little ruffled, disheveled looking. And after speaking with her for a few minutes, it was determined that she had had a change in medication within the last 3 or 4 days. So the options counselor, with her permission, called into her doctor's office and got her set up to have an appointment to go in and double check what was going on with the medications, and also was able to make sure that she had a ride to get to the doctor's office. After talking with the primary care physician, she also was able to connect with the local senior center and established some Meals on Wheels services for this lady to help her eat better, because she had really not been eating properly. And we were also able to, with the local senior center and with our volunteer connection, we were able to set her up with a senior companion to come out and visit with her and check in on her a couple of times a week, because we discovered that she didn't have any family living in the immediate area. We were also able to get her connected with the local Medicaid office and help her go through some paperwork and request a in-home caregiver to come in once a week and attend to some of her needs. We also worked with our local community development office through Oregon Project Independence, and were able to get her a couple of low-cost grants to have persons come in and install some grab bars for her and a ramp for her wheelchair. And then we also contacted a local faith-based organization, which actually came out and started doing some yard work for her to get everything all cleaned up. And about 5 months later, after all this activity, we received a call back from the bank manager thanking us for the services that we had provided. She said that this lady, when she came into the bank now, was very healthy looking. She had gained weight, that she was a lot more talkative than she had been before, and appeared to be very, very happy, smiling all the time, and was talking about a lot of the new people that she had met through the senior center. And so it was a good success story of what ADRC is capable of doing when people in the community are willing to take the time to make a referral to us so that we can reach out and try to help individuals. And another example, we had a mail carrier in Northeast Portland in 2011 who had taken our Gatekeeper training, and he noticed something that was unusual on his usual route. He knew that there was an elderly lady that lived in the neighborhood he delivered to, and he delivered a package one morning and noticed that there was quite a bit of mail on her front porch. There were several things on her front porch that didn't look like they had been picked up, and that was very unusual because she usually greeted him. He knocked on the door and didn't get any response, which again was unusual. The elderly woman was usually home. So he went and got a neighbor, and he and the neighbor went around and were kind of looking in the windows and stuff and see if they could see anything, try to figure out where this lady was, because the neighbor said he thought she was home. And so they eventually they started knocking on some windows, and they heard something, and it sounded like she was in the house. So they called 911 and had them come out. And once the officers got into the house, they discovered that she was lying on the floor of a bathroom. She had fallen, and like the TV commercial, she had fallen and she couldn't get up, and was unable to get to the phone or the front door. She had actually been lying there for about 3 days. So in this particular instance, his willingness to get involved and the neighbors probably saved her life. So some of the warning signs and the red flags for reasons for making a referral is any change in a normal behavior or any routine that's not normal for one of your customers or clients. Typical areas where there are signs that show up as a warning: communication. It can be things like forgetfulness, asking the same questions over and over, inability to find the right word when speaking. There can be financial concerns. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of scams out there that are targeting elderly persons and people with disabilities. Oftentimes, banks discover things like this before anyone else does. Things like large deposits or shut-off notices or bounce checks. There can often be caregiver stress if a person has a family caregiver. It can show itself, present itself as just frustration. Someone can just look like they're just worn out and at their end of their rope. Social isolation. Oftentimes, elderly or a person with disability may self-isolate. They may just not come out. They may not want to come out. I had my elderly grandmother who passed away several years ago finally got to the point where she would not answer her door. She was afraid to answer her front door. And sometimes people can be isolated by others that are taking advantage of them, unfortunately. There can be emotional health issues. I attached, in addition to the PowerPoint presentation, there's also a handout on a checklist for Alzheimer's. It's a very informational handout. It will explain to you the normal response for a person to have in a particular situation, and then how a person with Alzheimer's or dementia may respond to something. And it's good to note that Alzheimer's and dementia are not normal signs of aging. They are specific diseases. Oftentimes you may notice a change in the appearance of a person. Perhaps they're wearing clothing that doesn't reflect the type of weather that is out there. They may be disheveled. You may notice strong odors. There can be physical limitations that will begin to manifest themselves. I had an elderly parent who we did not discover was having difficulty walking until I was doing some spring cleaning and moved a piece of furniture. And this was my mother, and she came into the room, and the chair that she had always used to furniture surf around the room to get to where she wanted to be was not where it normally was, and she took a fall. And it was then that we actually discovered that she was having difficulty getting around, but she didn't want to burden anyone, so she hadn't told us. And these are just a few of the things that may show themselves. If you're a person who goes out and makes home visits or are in the field, you can often see warning signs in and around a house. The home itself may be in disrepair, or quite the opposite. You may notice something where a person has their roof changed 2 or 3 different times. We actually had a scam going on with a person who had been targeted by several unsavory roofing companies, and it actually had their roof replaced 2 or 3 different times by being told that, oh, the person who did the last job didn't do it right, we need to do it again. So anything that's unusual in the home can be a sign. A yard can be overgrown and in need of some maintenance. You may notice pets that are neglected, or maybe someone has too many pets. You may notice strong odors from the home, or in the case of the scenario I mentioned earlier, mail stacked up or just not picked up. All of these can be signs that there may be somebody that is in need of some supports and has just not been willing to reach out. So what information should a gatekeeper report? Number one, please tell us when you make a referral that you are making a gatekeeper call. And this way we can keep track of how many of our community, for grant purposes and such, that are actually participating in the program. We'll need the name of the individual, a birth date if you have it, or an approximate age, a telephone number, and their address, and just a brief description of what you've observed or what they may have self-reported to you, and then your contact information. And I say here, optional, we will need your information, but you can choose to remain anonymous. And when I say anonymous, it means that your information is not going to be associated with anything in the report, and it will not be mentioned to the person that we reach out to, who it was that called them. On the other side, everything that we do is confidential. So your information is not going to be shared with anyone else or a family member, or it's just, if you give us the go ahead, we will share it with the person that we're reaching out to. And this is only if you allow us to. And oftentimes, though, if you do give us permission to share your information, it gives us a better ability to form some trust with this individual that we're reaching out to, so that they know that this is not a telephone scam, that someone was legitimately concerned about them, and that's the reason that we're calling them. One thing I failed to mention previously, even if you choose to remain anonymous, if for whatever reason a referral that you make is needed to be referred to Adult Protective Services, your information will be given to APS, and that's only because they may need to follow up if they're actually doing an investigation. I want to let everyone know that the ADRC staff we're very person-centered. We respect the individual, respect the choices that they make, and we value the fact that they have the ability to make their own choices. So we will make suggestions to people, but we, of course, will not do anything to try to coerce them into using any of the services or information that we give them. So does every person get their issue resolved? Sometimes they don't. Sometimes people do not want help, and that can be a problem, but we do respect everyone's right to choose. So sometimes we can give them the information, they just don't necessarily use it. We will make every effort to connect an individual with services and resources in community as they are available. If there isn't anything available, then we will let them know that. But we make every effort to try to find resources to help everybody's need. And every single Gatekeeper referral that we receive, we follow up on. We take these very, very seriously. And now I'm going to turn it over to Christy Murphy from the State Unit on Aging to kind of walk through the ADRC website for everyone.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Vicki, can you hear me?
So Christy, we gave you the screen, but you need to show it.
There.
Perfect.
Hi, everyone. Great. Hi, everyone. We're in 2 locations, so where this technology thing is kind of a challenge sometimes. First of all, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to take this training this morning. It's incredible the amount of referrals we get from people in the community who see things that are amiss in people's homes. It can be, as Vicki said, it can be postal workers, it can be cable service people, it can be bank tellers, and just being able to connect, let people know where to go to connect if they have a concern. If you have that feel in your stomach that something's amiss, it probably is. And so it's really great that we have a number to call and a way to connect. So what I'd like to do today is just share with you our ADRC website. I'm not sure, maybe some of you are familiar with this, but this is our public-facing website that has over 6,000 resources in Oregon for various things for folks to get connected to service or find out information. I think the most important part for you all will be or maybe not, but related to gatekeepers, the connect section of our website, which we'll talk about in a little bit. First of all, let's just give you an overview of what this site looks like. Again, it's a tool for people to find information on their own. We find that community members use it, but also adult children. We don't quite have seniors using it yet, but we really anticipate that as the population ages our group, this will be a viable way to gather information and plan for your future. So with that said, we have made the site available in many different languages. We are using Google Translate at this point because it was affordable for us. We know it's not the ideal by any means, but we're hoping that people will get the general gist of the information. And if they have questions, they can always call the website, which is right down here, the 800 number. Or they can, that's what I meant, they could they could call the ADRC and speak with someone. We also, at the bottom of the page down here, you can see there's a kind of a listing of things that are available in each area under each section if you need to, if you're having trouble navigating. Okay. So the first thing I want to show you is the Explore section, and this is really where it just kind of talks about what are long-term service and support. What does that mean? And as I age, I have questions about how to do this. Who do I contact? Where do I go? And what we know, as you probably all know, the aging population or the aging network is very complex. We have many different offices under many different names, and it's problematic for people to get connected with services. So that's why we created this statewide ADRC, trying to use one name for most services and also one number and one website, so that we make it easy for consumers to get connected to information and services. So within each section, we have many different tabs across the top here, as you can see. So for long-term services, you can click on that, and you'll see it goes a little deeper here. We only go 3 levels in our website, trying to keep it manageable for folks and easy to navigate. So within each tab, you'll see there are many, many different, several different things that you can look for. In your community, we'll show you all the programs that are available in almost every community. And these are not means tested, which means you do not have to qualify. The only requirement for most of these programs is that you're 60 years of age. Then you can see in your home, this is about in-home services. If someone wants to stay, here are the various programs that are available there. We also have a section on facilities. So this really takes the mystery out of it all. I know when my mother had a health issue and we needed to change her living facility, people started talking a language that I didn't understand. I didn't know what adult foster care meant. I had an idea, but I didn't really know the details. So here we've listed what they are and and what it means. Just trying again to provide the community with great information so they can make good decisions, informed decisions. Okay. Oops. Okay. We also have a whole section on Alzheimer's, which is a great page, and many different areas that you can go in and look about caregiving, research, safety, just about anything you want. We also on the site are really want to drive people to resources, but also want to make sure that they know how to get a hold of us. So that's why you're going to see we ask you to connect with us in many different ways. You can also do searches on the site, which we'll talk to in a little bit through the search section up here, but you'll also find on various pages they allow you to do more searches, or go access the searches here as well. More options. This just goes into a few other things: caregiver support, legal assistance. So just really this is program specific information or resource information. I'm going to skip search for the moment and go to connect. So as I said, this might be the site that you folks would feel be most helpful to you. If, for example, if you don't, you can always just dial the 800 number if you see something that concerns you. If you can't remember how to connect with your local agency or who to go to. Obviously, if it's a dire emergency, you call 911, but if you just have that feeling that someone needs to check something out, then you would contact your local site or your local office. And again, as I said, it's a complex system, and knowing where to go can be problematic sometimes. But this map is really terrific in that it would allow you, let's say you're a gatekeeper and you're in Eugene and you're doing something and you see something amiss. You could go ahead and click on this map and up will pop the local phone number in Lane County, and then you were able to call and say, you know, this is something I'm a gatekeeper from another community. This is something I witnessed, and I just want someone to follow up. And you're finished. So this is also a great tool if you have family members, or maybe one of your consumers has family members living in other communities. You can click and be connected, find the contact information for that community, which has been very, very helpful as well. Do we have any questions? It doesn't look like. Okay, so the next section I'm going to go to is the search section, and this is really a great tool for anyone wanting to know a little bit about what might be available in their community. So I'm going to go ahead and do a search here. I'm going to enter the Clackamas 97 zip code. And then we're going to type in a keyword. We'll just type in food. I also want to show you that you can just type in a few letters and all kinds of options will pop up, which is just to make it easier for folks to find what they're looking for. So, oops. Okay, so here we type in food pantries. So I'm going to click here, say go. And as you can see, up pops this little map of all the various areas and agencies who provide or food pantries in your community. You can hold your little cursor over the numbers and it'll tell you a little bit more about each one, or you can look right here on this listing. Okay, and as you can see, there are quite a few. So another great feature on this site is that you're able to go up here and let's just type in an address. And this is, I'm using Clackamas's, the main office there, their address. We'll hit go. And what happens then is we still have the food pantries, but what they do is tell us who's closest, because we know that a lot of times travel can be, or transportation can be challenging, and so we give you a good idea of who's available in your community. So it's a really great option. Also, you can sort over here by various things. You could actually go pick the city that you wanted, and then you can hone your search that way as well. Again, the site has over, we have over 6,000 resources that are loaded in here. And what's interesting and really great is that our staff uses all the same resources when they're doing searches for, to find information for consumers. Okay, up top here, you can print any of these options out. You can also do a comparison. So I have to select. So let's say you find a few people here that you're interested in that sound like things or agencies you may be interested in. So you can pop this up and it does a side-by-side comparison for you. So it tells you if it's volunteer, it tells you usually times of service, languages they speak. So a lot of great information. And this feature exists for, you can use it for facilities, you can use it for just about anything. You can also email the information by just simply clicking here and sending it on, which is another really great feature. Whoops. Let's see, let's go to plan. Okay, this is a really helpful site for consumers and also for their families looking at long-term services and support. What does that mean, and how do we begin this whole conversation with our parents? We have this whole section about planning. It really does help you think about how to start the conversation, things you should be thinking about. Also connecting with your ADRC. So if you are reading the information, you have questions, you can always just connect with your local ADRC, and you will be connected with an options counselor. First of all, you'll talk with the information and assistance specialist, as Vicki talked about earlier, who will ask you questions. then you may be referred to an options counselor who actually sits down and talks with you about options that may be available. Now, this can happen on the phone if you prefer. You can come to an office and discuss it with an options counselor, or the options counselor can also come to your home. So we give a lot.
Christy, there was a question back on the map and the resources, and someone wanted to know if that particular map and resources are linked with the food bank maps.
I am not sure. I don't believe so. I think it's just a link with Google and our resources. I don't think it's linked to the food bank map, but I can find out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, something we're really excited about. So it talks about, let me go back here, first steps. You know, how do we have that conversation? What are the things we need to think about? How am I going to fund my care? If you need legal help, what does that look like? How do I access that? Independent housing, we talk about various things, where to live, how that might help. Home modifications. So you can see there's just a wealth of information here. Something we really think is terrific and helpful to people is this planning toolkit. I'm going to kind of go off here. Let's see if I can open it. So here's this great toolkit that is full of information. I'm just going to show you the table of contents, but really about thinking about your long-term care. How much is it going to cost? What if I do have resources? And this is something I think we often overlook, is because people have resources, this doesn't mean that they don't need our assistance in sorting things out. What does it mean to live in a foster home versus an assisted living, and what's the best option? Oftentimes we get calls from family members and they're wanting, something's happening with their parents and they say, we need a place for mom. Well, not always is that's not always the best choice, and there are other options. You can, if you have resources, you can bring in-home care in and have someone stay 24 hours. It's expensive, yes, but if that's important to you to keep your loved one in their home, it's certainly something that can be done. You don't always have to use a facility. So we also talk about public options. What is Medicare? What is Medicaid? What's the difference? We talk about planning, things to talk about. We also provide worksheets in here about the cost of long-term care. It's a great tool. It's downloadable and available. So that is it in a nutshell. But I just wanted to say, within this planning tool, there are worksheets. So you can go through and look at the cost of what it's going to cost. How am I going to do this? What resources do we have? And I was just going to look right here. So within the planning toolkit, as I said, you'll find these worksheets, but here they are individually. So you can calculate your costs. How much is it going to cost? How am I going to do this? Maybe it's not going to come up. It's slow. Okay, so you can see here that it's interactive. So you fill it out and it pops up. So you're going to live here 5 months. Oops. Over here, it'll tell you what that is. And so you can work through this whole worksheet to see approximately what the costs are going to be. We also have another one that looks at how do I fund my long-term care? How do I use the resources I do have to make that happen? So that is it in a nutshell. If I've missed anything, do I have any questions, Sue Ann?
I'm not seeing any.
Okay. Again, I'd invite you, like Vicki said, to please, if you have that feeling, to call in. If you see something amiss, if you, for some reason, can't remember Clackamas's number, you can always remember 855-ORE-ADRC. Use it, enter the zip code you're in if you know it. If not, just hit 0, and you will get connected to someone who can help you. And I think that's the most important part, is that if you have that feeling and you need to, just call. There's no reason not to. And you could save someone's life. So that's it for me. Vicki, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Christy. Sorry.
You're welcome.
And Christy, someone is asking about services being offered in other languages.
Yes.
And they are. They are.
Yes. Yes. So we're working currently. We have everything, our brochures and toolkit and things. Well, not the toolkit, or the planning kit, but we have brochures available in English and Spanish. We're just expanding to the 6 languages that I showed earlier that are listed on the website. So we will have more tools available in various languages. And every office has access to a language line. So if someone calls in, they can connect them with the language line and they can communicate that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christy.
You're welcome.
And as Christy said, and I'm going to reiterate it again, if you have a doubt or something doesn't feel right, please just call. And if you can't remember anything else, if you just take away with you today, 855-ORE-ADRC, and give us a call and let us reach out to others and see what we can do to assist them. And I've got a question about the Gatekeeper Training. It says, can anyone take this training and how do we access it? You can definitely, in Clackamas County, you can reach out to us at the Clackamas ADRC if you're interested in having someone come and present to you and talk to one of our INR specialists, and we'll work with you to get something set up. We are also recording this webinar today and should be placing it hopefully on the website for Clackamas County, and that way it can be available for anyone's use if they wish to train their personnel themselves on a particular issue. You're welcome. And so I want to thank you all today for being here with us. And if we can be of assistance and clarify anything, please contact the Clackamas ADRC. And if you're looking for brochures or any other information, please don't hesitate to call us. And thank you very much for your participation today and taking time out of your day to be here with us. And thank you. I appreciate that. I've just got a comment about thanking us for the information. Again, I hope that it's helpful.
And we're going to leave the webinar up for just a minute or two so that you guys can make sure to download the handouts that are attached to the webinar. There were 2. One is the PowerPoint, and the other one is the Alzheimer, the 10 signs of Alzheimer. So we'll leave the webinar up for just a few minutes. There's also, as you close the webinar, there should be a survey, a quick survey coming up for you. Please take the time to fill out that evaluation of this presentation and let Vicki know how she did so that she can make the future ones even better. Thank you again so much.